AAA gaming studios are absolutely terrified of their plummeting stock prices, that they're literally out here announcing fake video games just to keep the lights on. It's become a standard industry practice to drop a shiny multi-million-dollar cinematic trailer for a game that doesn't even exist yet, and I'm starting to feel like that it's been 84 years Titanic lady, just waiting to see a single frame of actual gameplay. I mean, we just found out that when Microsoft and Undead Labs dropped that massive 2020 reveal trailer for State of Decay 3, the game was literally nothing more than a Microsoft Word document. They didn't have a game engine prepped. They didn't have mechanics locked in. They had some words on a PDF file and decided to market it as a real product. And honestly, if you're exhausted as I am by these suits selling us digital smoke and mirrors, while the actual gaming industry burns to the ground, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button so we can keep calling out this nonsense. Like seriously dude, let's talk about that IGN article regarding State of Decay 3 because it perfectly represents everything wrong with modern AAA marketing. Back in 2020, they showed off this insanely gorgeous cinematic trailer. You had a survivor surviving in the freezing snowy wilderness, sharpening crossbow bolts, and then she gets confronted by this terrifying zombified deer with half of its face missing. And gamers everywhere lost their minds. People were dissecting the trailer, analyzing the snow, and speculating about how mutated wildlife was going to completely change the survival mechanics of the franchise. Things were looking very optimistic about the future of State of Decay 3. But according to the actual developers at Undead Labs, absolutely none of that was real. A developer literally came out and admitted that the trailer was just a concept made at a time when the game was only in a Word document. Let that sink in for a minute. The studio paid some third-party CGI animation house God knows how much money to render a highly detailed zombie deer for a video game that's currently sitting in a desktop folder. How is that just not straight up false advertising? You're heavily implying in atmosphere, graphical fidelity, and gameplay mechanics that your development team hasn't even begun to prototype yet. They're essentially announcing a game so incredibly early in its lifespan that they can't even guarantee half the things in the trailer would actually make it into the final cut. What if the game engine couldn't handle the memory requirements of a mutated animal AI system? What if the snowy weather systems completely tanked the player's frame rate? Doesn't matter. The marketing department needed a win for the Xbox showcase, so they just made something up. They sold you a dream instead of a video game. And they're far from the only ones doing this kind of desperate, premature hype baiting. I would bet my entire life savings that Bethesda pulled the exact same stunt with The Elder Scrolls 6. Do you guys remember E3 2018? Bethesda drops a teaser trailer that is quite literally just a camera panning over some generic rocky mountains while some epic music plays in the background. Then the logo pops up. That was 8 years ago, dude. We're sitting here in 2026, and we still haven't even seen a single sword swing, a single line of dialogue, or even a direct confirmation of what province the game is actually set in. If State of Decay 3 was a Word document, The Elder Scrolls 6 was probably just a couple of scribbles in Microsoft Paint. Think about the context of when that trailer dropped. Bethesda was actively dealing with the massive, bubbling PR nightmare of Fallout 76. They knew their fan base was about to riot over that buggy multiplayer live service disaster, so Todd Howard walks out on stage and basically jingles a shiny new set of keys in front of our faces to distract us. He announced a game he knew damn well wasn't gonna see the light of day for almost a decade, and it worked. People ate it up, but the reality is, at that time, Bethesda's entire workforce was completely bogged down trying to get Starfield out the door. Elder Scrolls 6 wasn't a game in development, it was a PR band-aid. And this brings up a massive issue with how the gaming industry operates behind closed doors. Gamers are under the illusion that video game trailers are made for them, and they aren't. The vast majority of these early CGI cinematic trailers serve two extremely, very bleak purposes. and neither of them actually involve showing you, the gamer, an actual video game. First, they're designed as investor bait. When a massive publisher like Embracer Group or Ubisoft is having a terrible financial period, they need a way to show their shareholders that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. They need a line on the graph to go up, so they greenlight a cinematic trailer for a beloved IP. The shareholders see the millions of views on YouTube, they see the trending hashtags on Twitter, and they're satisfied enough in the moment to not pull their funding. And the second purpose is, these trailers are actually just glorified job listings. It's a known secret in the industry right now. When a studio announces a massive, sprawling sci-fi RPG with a pre-rendered trailer but absolutely zero gameplay, it's usually because the studio doesn't actually have the staff required to build it. They drop the trailer to build hype, hoping that some senior programmers and lead artists at other studios will see it and say, "Wow, I really want to work on that. That looks really cool. Here's my resume." You aren't watching a game preview, you're watching a multi-million-dollar recruitment ad. And honestly, there's no better example of this absolute clown show than Ubisoft's Beyond Good and Evil 2. For those who might not know or simply forgot, because it's been literal decades at this point, Beyond Good and Evil was a beloved action-adventure game from the PS2 era. Fans begged for a sequel for years, so what Ubisoft did in 2017 was they dropped a massive, mind-blowing CGI trailer showing space pirates, seamless planetary travel, and a sailor-mouthed monkey. It looked like the most ambitious game ever made. Okay, well, that might just be like a personal opinion of mine. They followed it up with another cinematic trailer the next year, but behind the scenes, the game was a complete disaster. It was in development hell. They had no clear vision, no locked-in gameplay loop, and the scope was so ridiculously massive that their engine couldn't even handle it. Years later, reports leaked out that the game was basically vaporware. They had spent millions upon millions of dollars producing these Hollywood-level CGI trailers for a game that functionally did not exist outside of a tech demo. It is the king of fake games, and it proves that these publishers are totally comfortable with lying to your face if it buys them a few more months of positive media coverage. This is exactly why gamers have become so cynical and completely checked out of the hype cycle. We've been burned way too many times by these overproduced lies. We've learned the hard way that a cinematic trailer means absolutely nothing, which is why we need to talk about the total contrast here and give credit where credit is due. Look at Rockstar Games with GTA 6. Now look, I know we've waited over a decade just to get a glimpse of that game. Rockstar took their sweet time, and the wait was agonizing. But when they finally dropped that reveal trailer, they didn't hand it off to some third-party animation studio to render a fake scenario. They showed us actual in-engine footage. When you watched that Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, you were looking at the actual product. We saw the density of the crowds on Vice City Beach. We saw the mud physics tearing up the dirt roads. We saw the way the lighting bounced off the cars at night. And we even saw how she got that thing that jiggles. Sure, maybe a few minor details get tweaked or downgraded for performance before the final release, but there's no denying that the game we saw is a real, tangible thing. They prove that whatever code they've been writing is compiling. They prove that the world exists. Rockstar has the confidence to only show you their game when they actually have a game to show. That level of transparency used to be the bare minimum standard, but now it feels like a luxury. And it makes you realize just how pathetic the rest of the AAA industry looks in comparison. We have studios collapsing under the weight of their own bloated budgets, firing thousands of talented developers, and completely abandoning their core audiences to chase live service trends. They're bleeding money, and they know the only way to keep the charade going is to announce games they haven't even started coding yet. And honestly, it's just insulting. You have indie developers and AA studios out here announcing a game, showing raw, unedited gameplay on day one, and then releasing it 8 months later to overwhelming success. A small team them will show you exactly what their game is, charge you $30 for it, and it'll run flawlessly. Meanwhile, massive corporations are asking you to pre-order a $70 to $100 Ultimate Edition based entirely on a pre-rendered cinematic of a zombie deer that was brainstormed on a lunch break while a dude was munching on Skittles. The era of trusting the AAA hype machine is completely dead and buried. If a developer can't show me a single frame of UI at the very least, if they can't show me actual combat, or if they have to rely on a cinematic pan of a mountain range to get me excited, then as far as I'm concerned, that game does not exist. We need to stop giving these massive corporations the benefit of the doubt. Stop acting like a logo reveal is a major gaming event. Make them prove it. Make them show their work, because until they do, it's just another Word document disguised as a video game. Anyway guys, I'm gonna go boot up my PC and play some more of my Korean dating simulators where they got that thing that jiggles. This is RageWatch and I'm out. Thanks for watching.